Begin by drawing a large rectangle or box to establish the overall proportion of the horse. This rectangle will encompass the entire horse's body, helping you place the horse correctly on your paper. Divide the rectangle in half horizontally. Leave some space at the top of the rectangle for the horse's head. The upper half of the rectangle will contain the horse's body, while the lower half will be used for the legs. From the top right corner of the rectangle, draw a triangle to represent the head. Check the angle by comparing it with your reference photo, using a pencil to match the lines. Verify that the angles of the triangle match the angle of the horse's head in your reference. Draw ovals within the rectangle to define the basic shape of the horse's body. These simple shapes will help guide the structure of the horse. From the corners of the lower half of the rectangle, add lines to represent the horse's legs. Focus on the proportions, angles and motion. Draw the legs as simple lines to establish their direction and placement. Draw small circles at the joints of the legs to show how they bend and connect. This will give you the drawing a sense of movement and anatomy. Check that the length of the legs match up. The back of and front legs should be of equal length to maintain the proportions. Refine the lines of the horse's body, head and legs. The body should have an oval shape. And the legs should now be defined better. Now add the horse's tail. You can be expressive here, letting it flow naturally. The ovals you've drawn will guide where the shadows fall. Shadows are essential for giving the horse form and dimension. Make your lines bolder and darker to indicate those shadows. It will really help you in your later painting. Final touches. Once your basic sketch is complete, you can add more details and refine the shading to bring your horse to life. Don't worry too much. It's just a pencil sketch. You can always wash it off or paint over it. I'm using an Inktense pencil, which is a water-soluble. The color is called Indian ink, which is a brown-grey shade. When I paint over it, the water-soluble pencil will react with water, giving the effect of watercolor. Let me show you how this watercolor pencil works. So I've got a soft brush, and now I'm going to wet the pencil marks I've made. As I apply the water, look at what happens. The pencil reacts and spreads like watercolor. This allows me to easily show values and create the shadows. Values refer to the range of tones from dark to light, which helps illustrate how light spreads across the form of the horse. If the color becomes too intense, I would add more water to make it more transparent. The water will soften the tone and lighten the value. Make sure your brush is clean as you go. Notice how beautifully the pencil interacts with water, creating a smooth transition between tones. For now, I'm focusing only on painting the shadows. Later, I'll add color, glazing over the shadows to build depth. If you find there is too much water on the paper, then use some tissue to blot off the excess. This helps you to keep control of the values. And don't be afraid of making accidental splashes because they can create interesting effects and bring a sense of movement to this painting. I like starting with the shadows because later on, when I add the colored paint, it will glaze over the shadows, creating a rich, layered effect, which is something I'm going to show you in my next video. Utilize the marks you can make with your brush. Use the full width to cover larger areas. So just the tip or edge of the brush for fine lines. Hold the brush in various ways. Holding it close to the bristle gives you more control over your lines. While holding it loosely at the end creates expressive, free, and dynamic marks. This is great for conveying motion. In this tutorial, I've shown you how to draw a horse using basic shapes to build its form, structure, and shadows. In my next video, I'll guide you through the process of painting this horse using acrylic paints. If you would like to learn how to paint with acrylics, consider subscribing to my online art class. We meet on Zoom once a week for live demonstrations, where you can either paint along or watch and paint at your own pace later. All demonstrations are recorded and you'll have access to these recordings plus previous lessons at any time.